Okay. Dr. Davis? Yep. Dr. Davis, you said that the definition of treating doctor, or did you say treating doctor or treating practitioner?
Treating doctor.
Do you use two different terms? Because some of the correspondence I see from DVA, some use treating practitioner, some use treating doctor.
I mean, an allied health practitioner could also be referred to as a practitioner, but in this specific circumstance I'm talking about medical practitioners,
treating
so
doctor. And you said that that definition had been worked on, is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
When was it settled to be, if you're a GP, someone who's had 2 or more consultations in the last 24 months, unless it's remote, or if you're a practitioner, someone who's been consulted?
It's only been settled within the last week.
Within the last week?
Yep.
All right.
And Senator, if I might just, on that point, one of the reasons why we've needed to do this work is, as Dr. Davis was explaining, the growth of entities that are set up to write reports for us is a relatively new development. Historically, this has not been an issue that we've needed to engage with. It's kind of been understood, but particularly in the context of the integrity measures we've needed to take, it has become more topical. That's really a function of the growth of specialist providers over the last couple of years.
Is there somewhere on the website that has this in some prominent space? Has it been communicated clearly? Because I've got to tell you, it's come in as a surprise to, as we're hearing it here, I'm getting messages indicating it's come as a surprise to the broader veterans community and those who are treating the community. So has it been published anywhere?
So thank you for the question, Senator. We are intending to publish that as soon as possible. I think it's worthwhile. I think we do need to clarify that there is a misconception, or as some people have misconstrued this, as if you do not meet that definition, you cannot complete compensation report for DVA, or that a veteran cannot choose a doctor they haven't seen for treatment. That is not the case. The treating doctor definition is intended to assist the delegates in weighing the accuracy and the validity of the information provided, as we expect that a doctor who has seen a patient on an ongoing basis will, in general, have better knowledge of that patient.
That's always been the case, I think, and I think if is there a statutory provision about that? Section 328 or something comes to mind about people having a right to choose their own, who writes the report. But that's not a new policy, is it? That's not a new position, is it, Dr. Davis? That's always been the case.
I think I'll defer to my colleagues on the legislation, being their special
Mr. Brown, you should just stay there. Yep.
Thanks for the invite, Senator. I can't picture what Section 328 is, but I can't think of it. You know, it is in the ballpark of our claiming and investigation provisions, but I don't think there's a provision that is expressed in the way that you've put it. I would have to go and remind myself. But the provisions generally relate to the department, or sorry, probably the commission, being able to request a medical examination for the purposes of investigating a compensation claim.
Has there ever been a policy whereby Veterans Affairs have said that they will refuse to accept a report unless it's authored by a treating practitioner?
Senator, that's not, well, that kind of shortcuts a range of issues around our current position, and in terms of timing, this was one of the issues that was raised in preparation for the town hall meeting to which we've referred, and the Cho and others have been working on this definition in the interim. The starting point is, and this is not a new position, our preference is that information, and again we're talking specifically here about compensation reports, not about other aspects of the relationship, that those reports and the information in those reports is provided by doctors who have knowledge of the veteran and their circumstances. It's become more necessary for us to have greater clarity around that, recognising, as Mr Brown's alluded to, there is an explicit provision that allows us to direct where information is gathered from if necessary, to provide guidance for delegates about, and as Dr Davis has indicated, going to the veracity of what's in front of us, about what constitutes a treating relationship.
Ms Gifford, I'm persuaded that it would be relevant to making decisions if you knew the nature of the relationship between the veteran and medical practitioner, however described. There's obviously a benefit to knowing the relationship, but that would feature in any report. Like any report would of necessity say, I saw, X, this is my relationship with X. It may be I saw X for the purpose of this report. I saw X who had come and seen me 4 separate times about this issue. I've known X for 5 years. Every medical report worth its salt actually identifies the relationship between the practitioner and the person who they're writing the report for. So I mean, that is just... But what we're hearing, and I'll take you to some examples of it, is DVA is trying to disqualify reports from the outset or prevent reports being provided on the basis that they haven't got the requisite relationship with the patient. And Dr. Davis, I don't know if that's what you uncovered when you went going through this definition, that there was a whole lot of uncertainty inside the department about what the threshold was and what its purpose was. Was that what you discovered?
I mean, I would certainly say that there's been a great benefit in clarification of that.
Oh.
And I think we do need to recognise that there has sometimes been a conflation of the treating doctor with other issues. But that is something that has been a great benefit of working on that definition and making it very clear, is that we can provide that clear education to our delegates in the appropriate use of it. Well,
I mean, I'll give you an example of an email that's been sent to us by a veteran, and it's from DVA. It says it's about the proposition to get a report. It says a treating provider for compensation purposes means a practitioner with an established and ongoing treating relationship with the veteran. If you do not have an established and ongoing relationship with this claimant or are unsure if your relationship suitability meets these requirements, please contact us to discuss whether completing the report is appropriate in your circumstances. Were they the sort of unclear communications you discovered as you were doing the review, Dr. Davis? Because it seems to me that email was wrong on a number of fronts.
I mean, I can't say I've actually undertaken a discovery process. What I can say is I think there is great benefit in having a clear definition for accountability and to ensure that we have internal and external clarity around that.
Is DVA still engaging in discussions with doctors to assess whether or not, and I quote here, completing the report is appropriate? Is that still going on?
Well, Senator, the whole driver for this conversation has been not just concerns but evidence of behaviour by certain providers that has been either entities often set up, potentially commercially linked to other providers, designed to maximise their engagement with our system and the fees charged through that, rather than being focused on veteran wellbeing.
But you see, Mr. Gifford, that may well be a useful goal, right? And ensuring that you're getting the best possible evidence. But when the department starts picking and choosing who can provide evidence, when you're actually going to also be the decision maker, it removes any kind of objectivity from the system. And I'll give you another example. I mean, our office has been told that once this process goes through,
effectively asked a question about current department practice that I think Ms.
Well, I've been told
wishes
that
to
once
address.
this process happens and they've suggested and that a veteran is insisting upon getting a report or a doctor's insisting on getting a report, providing a report, the communication is coming through to the effect that they've been told the practitioner doesn't meet the threshold, and if they were going to proceed on this, that the department would compel them to get a so-called independent medical examination from MCOA. That's the kick in the tail that's happening here as well. You would be aware that that's happening.
And that's been our evidence in other hearings, Senator, is where we have integrity concerns about what's being provided. Yes, we do refer to MCOA. And
this isn't integrity concerns. This is just if they don't meet that threshold, which we now agree is wrong.
Senator, that's part of this conversation. And the document that we tabled earlier goes to the fees being charged for the reports, the nature of the relationship, the quality of what we've been getting. There's been a range of measures, and as Dr. Davis has pointed out, these are being conflated into a discussion that focuses solely on treating doctor. The treating doctor component is one part of a series of measures designed to address this behaviour that we've been increasingly concerned by.
A veteran's been told that they have, and I think this is where section 328 comes in, that they cannot be compelled if they have a reasonable excuse. And is that being put to veterans in writing?
I'm just confirming that is part of. I've had a chance now to review the wording of 328, so I was just confirming your understanding that then there is a provision around they must. I think it is a reasonable. The request needs to be reasonable, Senator. Yes.
The commission, the DVA's request has to be reasonable.
To undertake medical examination.
Yeah. And obviously, if there's an argument over whether someone's a treating practitioner, you know, maybe the doctor hasn't provided the appointment ledger, or maybe it hasn't met the threshold, the subjective threshold that DVA employees have been considering, you know, that they... And then they're being forced into getting this so-called IME from Alcoa. I mean, are they being told they have a right to object? Are they being told they have a right to object if they think it's not reasonable? Is it in writing? Is it part of your procedures?
Well, Senator, as part of the process is the first round of responses is to go through the process where I suspect the emails you're quoting from are being drawn from. The first response might be, and I'll characterise it this way, we're not convinced that there's a genuine treating relationship here, what's the evidence? But at the point there has been, you know, that's either not been provided or hasn't been provided to our satisfaction, or we have other concerns, there is the ability for us to refer to what is actually an independent examination through the Milcoa process.
Well, I'm also being told that there have been a number of examples where the department is rejecting reports from a practitioner specialising in veteran care due to what's described as geographic disparity, i.e. that the veteran lives too far from the practitioner, even if they've been referred to them as being an expert. Is this geographical disparity something that's been used to prohibit reports?
Again, Senator, without knowing the details of the email in front of you, it's a bit hard to give an answer, but we are aware of again, providers of concern who are on that list that we've tabled this afternoon, who see very high numbers of veterans in states where they are not present, and our concern goes to both that business model and the veracity of the information that we've been provided.
Right, but can we just then take a step back from what's been happening, which has been, I think a polite description would be untidy, and can we just get a simple explanation, Dr. Davis, about what the current status quo is? Because it's my understanding that with the definition that's now been adopted, that helps the department work out whether or not somebody is a treating practitioner for the purposes of what weight the department will give to the report. But it doesn't in any way prevent a report from another practitioner being given and provided for the purposes of a claim. Is that the situation?
That's the intent of the treating doctor definition. Just a couple of things around that. I'll defer to my colleagues around the geographic disparity, but I think it needs to be taken into account that a examination done by Telehealth, for example, is not necessarily going to have the same level of accuracy, particularly for a musculoskeletal complaint, as a examination done face-to-face. The other thing I just did want to make clear is, again, there is a misconception amongst some providers, some of whom really do have the veteran's best interests at heart and provide a lot of very valuable care. But there is a misconception that DVA requires a report of, they're a veteran health specialist and they provide a report of great complexity which outlines the SOPs, the legislative basis, a whole range of other information that DVA does not need. We know that comprehensive longitudinal care with a usual general practitioner leads to the best outcomes. That's across the population, not just DVA. That is why ideally we want individuals to have their report done by their usual treating provider who does not need to be an expert in DVA. I'm not disputing the fact that DVA systems can be complex. However, we do not want to put that complexity onto the provider.
Is the concern that actually you're getting too much detail from doctors who know too much about the system and that's not necessary for the purposes of assessing a particular claim. Is that part of the problem, Dr Davis? I'm trying to understand.
What we require is a good clinical report. So we require what a good clinician will do is provide us with a good clinical report. We don't need, for example, tracks of legislation being provided with the reports or detailed explanations of how this relates to SOPs.
My office, literally we're getting multiple real-time responses from doctors who are contacting my office and saying things like, this is from Dr X, we had a veteran with serious mental health concerns, he has no relationship with any other doctor apart from Dr X. A report request was issued and then rescinded because it was deemed Dr X was not the treating doctor despite multiple instances of care, though they were done via telehealth to make it convenient for the veterans. Like, this is literally just coming in real time as this discussion is happening. From what I can tell from your position now, Dr Davis, is at least under the definition that's been adopted since last week, that should not happen. Is that right?
I think, again, the purpose of the definition is not to preclude an individual doing a report. I think, again, and I'll defer to my colleagues around the legislation and other integrity arrangements, there are situations in which DVA won't accept a report which may not be related to the treating doctor relationship.
Well, this was said because there was no relationship. When it comes to mental health care, particularly from remote and regional parts of the state, telehealth is sometimes the only way veterans can get care. Mm-hmm. And are you aware of reports studies that have been done in the context of, for example, prison health, where actually telehealth, medical care, mental health care provided by telehealth is actually a superior level of care than in-person care in some populations? And for you for the department to sort of raise the sort of call into question telehealth, I think creates a potentially huge barrier for regional and remote parts of this state, veterans in those areas where it may be the only mental health care they can
I just do want to point out that the face-to-face requirement to establish a treating doctor relationship is for GPs. For non-GP specialists, which would include psychiatrists, the definition is a medical practitioner who's previously provided or is currently providing clinical treatment of the veteran's claim conditions, which does not include the face-to-face requirement. Exactly as you say, we recognise the value of telehealth, particularly in a mental health context.
I think, Senator Shoebridge, I appreciate the line of questioning you're pursuing. I wonder if it's helpful for officials to just talk through what problem is being addressed.
I've heard it from Mr Keffer
because
3 times.
Senator, as has been indicated to you already by Dr Davis, we do see particular business models that concern us in terms of the kind of care, the level of care that is being offered to veterans in this context. And so...
Well, Minister, I have been listening. Mr Keffer has said this 3 times now. He's already said this 3 times. I've heard him each time. Mm. And you repeating his evidence, by all means, feel free to repeat it for a 4th time.
Well, Senator, it's just that the nature of your questioning makes me wonder whether you are thinking about the kinds of policy responses that are available to governments when we see behaviour of this kind.
You're calling into question my questioning because I'm raising concerns about veterans treating doctors not being able to get a report into veterans. You have a question about my questions, Minister. Is that seriously what you're doing?
Okay, let's just get back to the question and answer.
Is that seriously what you're doing?
Senators?
I've clarified about 5 times, Senator. I'm asking whether we can assist you by providing more information about the kinds of problems.
I hear you, and plenty of others hear you.
Okay, let's just get back to questions, please.
Senator, the officials are in a position to talk to you about what's actually quite a complex policy problem, and they are here at your disposal.
Thank you. Dr Davis, I put a fairly simple proposition to you about what the state of play is. There is so much confusion, so much uncertainty. And so if you can't answer it, given you've done the report and you've provided the proposition, perhaps somebody else can, but I'm going to try again. Is it the situation that if somebody meets the definition of treating doctor as you set out, that their report will be received by DVA and considered in the context of being a treating doctor's report? it may or may not be given more weight because getting reports from treating practitioners and doctors can be of particular assistance given their relationship. But it in no way prevents reports from other doctors and medical practitioners being given. It's just they won't come in carrying the tag of treating doctor. Is that the state of play?
It doesn't prevent it. It goes to the value. But one of the other business practices that we have observed is entities inserting themselves in between the initial clinical assessment and aggregating reports that the Commonwealth has not asked for, that, as Dr Davis has given evidence, the Commonwealth doesn't need, and then sending us bills for that work. And that's part of this arrangement where the preferred evidence for the delegates making decisions is from the clinicians who've actually seen the doctor.
Mr Kefford, I'm not in any way suggesting that the department should pay for incredibly detailed reports that contain a ream of information that is of no assistance to the system. And by all means, put in systems you put in that are necessary to review that. And if they provide a 55-page report full of 45 pages of consideration of legislation, which is totally irrelevant, pay them as though it's a treating doctor's report. By all means, pay it as though it's a treating doctor's report. Put in whatever systems you put in place. But the problem is, it's like chaos out there. Like nobody knows, and the completely random responses that delegates seem to be giving, making it up as they go along about what is or isn't a treating practitioner, preventing reports being done, discouraging reports, then using that as a basis to refer them off to the department's preferred IMA. That is destroying trust out there at a large scale. So what I would urge is, if this policy has been adopted, put it on the website today.
Senator,
put it in highlights, make it flash, make it clear so everybody knows.
Senator, without traversing ground we've covered, this issue was raised at the Town Hall. The Cho and others have been working to reach this point. And yes, it will be published. One of the things that we are seeing, and one of the reasons why we want to be clear, and as you say, put it in flashing lights and use words of one syllable, is because the issue and the definition around treating practitioner, treating doctor, is being conflated by entities and providers who are subject to other integrity measures to create the sort of confusion which you're describing.
Mr Kefford, put out the rules, make them clear, apply them consistently, adopt them from a value for money and veterans care perspective and put them on the website tonight. That's what I would urge you to do, because the current state is a complete mess. But maybe we'll get there.